WVTT is the news station that brings you news and information that you can depend on. We are first, fast, and accurate, bringing you the only local television news in the Twin Tiers. WVTT, depend on it.
Now our first look at weather on WVTT. After some snow flurries yesterday, even a scattered shower or two, mostly clear overnight tonight, Alexa.
That's right. Doesn't look like we're going to see any snow showers as of yet, Jeff.
Yeah, and that's going to lead to some cool temperatures. Low tonight, 25. Complete weather details from meteorologist Jim Rinaldi are coming up here on Twin Tiers Evening News on WVTT.
Now, WVTT Global News Update.
Syria's embattled president made his first public appearance in months over the weekend, conceding nothing and defiantly clinging to power. A stark reminder there appears little hope for a diplomatic breakthrough in a crisis that has claimed 60,000 lives in nearly 2 years, according to the UN. CNN's Mohammed Jamjoun reports in from neighboring Beirut.
In a rare public speech on Sunday, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad remained defiant and entrenched, blaming a conspiracy for the turmoil in Syria and standing firm against global calls for him to step down. Al-Assad also denied that his forces were behind the violence that has brought so much misery to Syria these past 21 months and accused foreigners of helping to fuel terrorism on the ground there.
This is a conflict, those who wanted to take revenge against the people, and to fragment Syria. Those are the enemies of the people and the enemies of God. And the enemies of God will go to hell.
Al-Assad's speech, which was delivered in an opera hall in Damascus, was punctuated by loud bursts of applause by the audience, who at times chanted, "With our hearts, with our souls, we'll sacrifice for you, Bashar." Towards the end of his speech, al-Assad offered a plan to end the crisis in Syria, a plan that includes a national dialogue, as well as the drawing of a new constitution that would be put up for a public referendum. But there's one major caveat to the plan. Al-Assad said he will not deal with terrorists. In other words, the vast majority of the opposition. Al-Assad also vowed that his military would continue their fight against terrorism in Syria.
We will not stand down in combating terrorism. Quite to the contrary, every time we are strong in fighting terrorism, we will continue with the political solution for Syria.
The opposition, for its part, said they would not work with anyone from al-Assad's, quote, criminal government, and said they would not accept any plan that doesn't involve al-Assad's departure. CNN spoke with George Sabra with the opposition Syrian National Coalition, who told CNN he repeated the same words and same concepts from the past 2 years of Syrian revolution. Unfortunately, he didn't tell the truth about what happened in Syria. Who bombed the bakeries? Who bombed the petrol stations? He said that his government can deal with the political solution in Syria. If this kind of government can deal with a political solution, why did he wait for 2 years to announce his solution? Opposition activists reported that violence continued during al-Assad's speech, that shells hit several neighborhoods in Damascus, and that it was a particularly bloody day yet again in Syria. This was the first time that al-Assad spoke in 6 months. In that time, tens of thousands of more Syrians have been killed as a result of the conflict there. Mohammed Jamjoun, CNN, Beirut.
President Obama announced today that former Senator Chuck Hagel is his choice to become the next defense secretary. Now, Hagel has an impressive resume, but he also has some critics on Capitol Hill. Andrew Spencer has our story.
Chuck Hagel was the Republican senator from Nebraska from 1997 to 2009. He also is a veteran of the Vietnam War, where he served alongside his brother. Several Republican lawmakers have voiced concern about Hagel's stand on Iran, Israel, and Hamas.
Not only has he said you should directly negotiate with Iran, sanctions won't work, that Israel must negotiate with Hamas, a organization, terrorist group that lobs thousands of rockets into Israel. He also was one of 12 senators who refused to sign a letter to the European Union trying to designate Hezbollah as a terrorist organization.
He's certainly been outspoken in foreign policy and defense over the years. The question we will be answering if he's the nominee is, do his views make sense for that particular job? I think he ought to be given a fair hearing like any other nominee, and he will be.
But some lawmakers think Hagel is right for the job.
a decorated veteran of the Vietnam War, a person who has a resume that includes service on the Foreign Relations Committee as well as the Intelligence Committee. Yes, he is a serious candidate if the president chooses to name him.
Hagel's views on national security could cause him problems during the confirmation hearings. He opposed the troop surges in Iraq and Afghanistan and has called for cuts in defense spending. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
Despite those encouraging words from the president, a down day on Wall Street. WVTT's Wall Street Wrap-Up is brought to you by News Radio 96.7 WVTT. As you can see, the Dow dropped 51 points, closing at 13,384. The Nasdaq down almost 3, closing at just under 3,099. And the S&P down a little over 4.5, closing at 1461.89. Coming up on Twin Tiers Evening News, a look at WVTT sports and also our complete weather forecast. Stick around. This is Twin Tiers Evening News on News Channel 25 WVTT.